Hello and welcome to this episode. I am Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness. I'm an author, speaker, seminar leader, hypnotist, and life coach. On this show, I talk about how to expand your world of thought, explore the world of positive thinking, law of attraction, and consciousness from many points of view. I am here to encourage you to think in the positive and show you that miracles can happen. I truly believe you have been given the power of your word and thought to create the life that you desire. Those of you who are subscribers, welcome back. Those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe bell and the bell to be notified when I upload a new episode. You know, I many years ago, um, dreams. What does this mean? What does this dream mean? Well, I dreamt driving up, going up a river. I had a recurring dream many years ago, and I was living in Pittsburgh in an area called Penn Hills, and it was a two-story house with basement. But I kept having this recurring dream. In some way, I was in the basement area, but it was college. It was taking me back to the college I was going to in West Virginia. And I would be doing all these different things, but each time the dream was a little bit different. And it was always about being in school, studying, and doing those kinds of things. Now, I kept trying to interpret that dream as to what it would do, or what was it meaning? What was my subconscious trying to tell me? It wasn't a scary dream. I had scary dreams. We all have scary dreams. But it wasn't a scary dream, but it was a recurring theme. When I went back to school, in Pittsburgh. I went to the University of Pittsburgh for a while, and then I got moved to Texas, and I had to find a college that had weekend and night classes, and I finally found a school here called Dallas Baptist University, and I went back to school and got my Bachelor's of Science and my Master's degree. I haven't had that dream since. That dream has never come back. So that was my subconscious really probably trying to tell me that I really wanted to go back to school and get my degrees. In fact, the dream stopped. I don't remember having that dream again after I got my Bachelor's of Science degree. So sometimes when you're dreaming, it is of significance to you. It's of significance that your subconscious is telling you something. Sometimes recurring dreams are, what I want to say, abstract, kind of like mine was. I knew it was about going back to school. That was a given. But some of the things that I dreamt during that time frame, because the places were always the same, was not quite, I couldn't put my finger on it. But when they stopped after I went back to school, I understood what my subconscious was telling me. Today, Spirit put upon me because I went in the book and just opened up pages, and this is a story that I want to read to you from Susan Marie Kelly, and it's called Whipping Up a Little Wind. Well, let's look at who Susan Marie Kelly is. She is a freelance writer. She began a spiritual journey 20 years ago when her spirit guides began speaking audibly to her through her husband, Dave. Interesting. Her first book, Spirits in the Living Room, is a humorous and heartfelt memoir. Her second book, Ravens in the Backyard, explains how Susan learned to use the magnificent universal laws, and I've talked about them on these shows, one of them being the law of attraction, magnificent universal laws to create and manifest her heart's desires. All right. She holds metaphysical workshops and blogs regularly to help others on their journey. And I'm going to put her webpage in the show notes. So let me read to you. Whipping up a little wind. There was a time when I was getting tripped up on the principle of the all, or source, or God. And then I had a dream. I was being pulled into an elevator by an incredible downdraft, but held onto a pillar to keep from getting sucked in. Standing inside was a balding middle-aged man with a smile on his face, and then I heard the big man upstairs talking to people. Somehow I got up there with the bald man guiding me to make sure I got to the right place. We came to a waiting room where I was directed to sit and wait my turn. And then the big man appeared right in front of me. It was a whirlwind, roughly in the shape of a person. This entity was a composite of all humanity. From all the many people, I caught a glimpse of my eyes looking out at me and knew I was part of it as well, but I couldn't stay any longer. That must be the all, I thought. Through my intuition, I realized what this dream was saying, that we are all part of the all. Then we are, in essence, God. So we have the power and ability to create what we want like God does. I had to imagine what I wanted, and that was the mental part. Let me stop here because I know some of my listeners are having a natural fit. What do you mean? Da 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 da. Well, when you say I am, you say who you are. When I think of God created us in his image, and he gave me and you certain capabilities. We had to have a little drop of God in each and every cell of us in order to be alive. There's a drop of God in everything. We are creators. Hey, books are created. TV was created. Internet was created. The bed you sleep in. The computer that I'm using. They were all creations. So we are able to create. We had to imagine. All we do is imagine and think about what we want. We think of ideas. We think of, like for me, okay, what am I going to plant this year? I was looking at a seed as I planted this little tomato seed, and I said, this little seed has everything in it. Everything it needs to grow into that tomato plant that I want. Creation. We are God in the sense that we have a piece of that entity within us. And I like the piece where she talks about the all. So let me continue. My guides explained the reason the imagination is so powerful is that everything in the universe is first created with thought. Yes, I agree with that. The light was beginning to brighten. So does that mean there is nothing other than thoughts? Bingo, they responded. With that in mind, I conjure up anything and have it manifest, I ask. You are where you are because you put yourself there, they reminded me. Every nuance of your life, your relationships, jobs, even physical things like your house, car, and financial status has come to you by your thoughts. Then it stands to reason that if I brought everything to myself merely by thinking, I could change it to something else if I want. That's it. The stronger the intention, the faster and more direct the result will be. I wanted to try out this little nugget of wisdom when Dave and I were RVing in the mountains of New York. It was a lovely day in May, so we decided to take the dogs on a hike. We hiked regularly and were in good shape, not great shape, and could do a couple of miles without exhaustion. Since Dave is in love with welcome centers, he spent a pleasant half hour discussing the various trails with a nice lady and came to the car with maps hanging out of his pockets. I think I know the right trail to take, he said confidently. I got our two Shelties out of the car and we started our walk into the woods. The baby leaves were making their way into the world, sunlight cascaded down the branches, and birds sang praises to the heavens. An hour into our walk, I asked sweetly, "How long is this trail?" The woman said about a mile, he responded. "Gee," I replied, "it seems we've been walking a long time. I knew we could do a mile in about 20 minutes. We should be getting to the end pretty soon," Dave said. "Let's stop up here and look at the map," I suggested. After Dave and I took a long drink from our water bottle, we opened the map. "I think we took a wrong turn," Dave said quietly. I knew we were in trouble because it's a known fact that men don't get lost, and if they do, not even under threat of vicious torture will they admit anything. I started getting a little warm. When I hit my 50s, nature had taken its course, and hot flashes would get so hot I could boil my morning coffee on top of my head. At that moment, I felt a wave of heat start rolling in the pit of my stomach and begin its ascent up through my solar plexus, gathering speed as it plowed through my heart chakra with the ferocity of a tornado. It ended in my forehead with great drops of perspiration rolling off my face. Oh yeah, I remember those. Many trees surrounded us, but not one of them had any direction markers. Feeling faint, I took off my jacket. I knew we had to move on, so I decided to whip up a little breeze to cool me down. Breathing deeply and closing my eyes, I imagined a mighty wind blowing through the trees. When nothing manifested, I gathered up my backpack and started walking, wiping the waterfall streaming down my face. Where was the puff of air I so desperately needed? Then I heard the trees above rustle slightly. With newfound hope, I waited expectantly. The wind moved down through the trees, then gathered speed and rushed past us, lowering my temperature. Relief washed over me, and I was able to pick up a brisk pace. After re-examining the map, we eventually discovered a trail and found our way back to the car. As I gained more confidence using this concept, I began manifesting everything in all areas of my life. I felt more in control, and with control comes power and then peace. Just a little puff of wind. Just a little thing of intention and asking. And many of us have a hard time sometimes with understanding and knowing when our requests are being answered. So take a moment one day when you're feeling just highly frustrated and just take a couple of deep breaths in and relax. And ask for what you desire, visualizing it happening. Because that's what she did. She visualized that wind coming down upon her. Thank you for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this story. Because, sometimes when we dream things that lead us forward in the things that we want in our life. Sometimes those dreams mean nothing, and sometimes those dreams lead us to answering questions that we may have been asking all of our lives. This is Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness. Please hit the like button and subscribe, hit the bell, and I will talk to you in the next episode.